I'd like the congregation to repeat this after me. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
I am at the right place.
I am at the right place.
At the right time.
At the right time.
I am at the right place.
I am at the right place.
At the right time.
At the right time.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. When you go over these songs now, you can clap your hands, stomp your feet, tap the ring up in front of you. Do anything you want.
Shalom, shalom, Shabbat, shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Welcome to the Yahweh and Yahshua Speak television show. We're going to start out in Psalms, the 23rd chapter. We are on part 2 of our lesson, The Earth is the Valley of the Shadow of Death. Psalms, the 23rd chapter. This is a good Psalms, and there are people that really love it, and people that don't read their Bibles have it open to this Psalm. People say that you could put some flowers and grow the flowers from it with the dust that's
Yeah.
Psalm 23. But we study our Bible.
Yes, praise
so
God.
we're looking at this. In this lesson, the earth is the valley of the shadow of death. So let's read Psalms 23, verses 1 to 4, please.
Hallelujah.
Psalms 23, verse 1. Yahweh is my shepherd, I shall not want. Verse 2. He maketh me to lie down in green pasture. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Verse 3. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Verse 4, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death,
Yes.
I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me.
So now here is, it's talking about Yahweh is our shepherd. Well, we understand this talking about Yahshua, Yahweh's son. And it says in verse 3, he restores my nephesh or my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. So there's some paths of righteousness that we find when we're on the earth. And it says in verse 4, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no raw evil, for the shepherd is with me, his rod and his staff, they comfort me.
Yeah.
So in Psalms 23, it mentions walking the paths of righteousness, and the paths of righteousness are through the valley of the shadow of death. The earth is that valley of the shadow of death.
You gotta go through it.
Let's go to Hebrews, the 12th chapter. So the earth is the valley of the shadow of death. And we learned that we walk on the paths of righteousness in Genesis.
That's how you walk
We learned that we rest on the paths in Psalms. We learned that we wait and we run on the paths in Isaiah. We learned that we run like we're in a race on the paths in 1 Corinthians. Now let's go to Hebrews, the 12th chapter. Because Hebrews, the 12th chapter also talks about the paths of righteousness and that we run on those paths.
Yes, we are.
Hebrews, the 12th chapter. And we want to read one verse. Hebrews 12. And we want to read verse 1, please.
Hallelujah.
Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 1. Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us.
So here we are in Ibryi and Hebrews saying, wherefore, seeing we are also compassed about with a great cloud of witnesses. That's talking about there is more than just us that's on this path of righteousness. It says, let us lay aside every weight. Why? Because we don't need anything to slow us down. And the hata or sin, which does so easily try to come upon us. And it says, let us run on the paths of righteousness. Run with patience the race that's set before us. So we see in Hebrews, it confirms that we're running a race on the paths of righteousness. So let's go to Ecclesiastes, the 9th chapter. So if we do not run on the paths, will we lose the race when we walk, we rest, or we wait on the paths? Because we saw we walk in Genesis on the paths. We rest on the paths in Psalms. We wait and we run in Isaiah. So will we, if we're not running all the time, will we lose the race? Ecclesiastes, the 9th chapter. Is it necessary to run all the time? Ecclesiastes 9. And one verse, verse 11.
Hallelujah.
So if we do not run on the paths, will we lose the race when we walk, rest, or wait? Ecclesiastes 9 and verse 11.
Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 11. I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and chance happen to them all.
Now here is the wisest man that had a father and mother that ever lived, King Shelomah, Melech Shelomah. He's saying, I returned and saw under the sun. Well, we're under the sun.
Right.
That the race, come about down the path of righteousness,
Right.
through the valley of the shadow of death, which is the earth. The race is not to the swift.
Nope.
So running as fast as you can is not what's going to get you down that path.
Nope.
It's not going to have you win the race. And we want to win the race. The race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. The strongest person is not the one that wins the spiritual battle. Neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and chance happening to them all. So we see here in the Old Testament that it agrees with Hebrew, the New Testament, that we're running a race on the path, but running the race fast will not make us win it. It's not how fast we run on the paths that make us win it. Let's go to Exodus, the 23rd chapter. It is not how fast we run down the paths of righteousness. In this world, people tell you the faster you do things, then you can go and sit down somewhere and do nothing. But this is a lifelong journey.
Yes, it is.
That Yahweh has called us. Exodus 23. And so the faster you do it, like that, what's that parable with the rabbit and the turtle?
Yeah.
And the rabbit thought he could do it so fast and then sit and go somewhere and sit down and do nothing. And then it ended up the turtle, he was slow, but he was sure, and he beat him out. And that's how people think in this
Ain't
world.
on the trail.
Yeah. Exodus 23, and let's read verses 29 and 30, please.
Hallelujah.
Exodus 23 and verse 29. I will not drive them out from before thee in 1 year, lest the land become desolate, and the beasts of the field multiply against thee. Verse 30. By little and little I will drive them out from before thee, until thou be increased and inherit the land.
Now here is Yahweh showing us a spiritual principle about going down the paths of righteousness. About taking us where he's taking us. He says, I will not drive them out from before thee in 1 year. You talking about when our forefathers were going into the land of Canaan. But he's also talking about wherever he's taking us.
That's right.
I'm not going to drive them out little by little before thee in 1 year. In other words, it's not how fast I'm going to do it for you. Lest the land become desolate and the beasts of the field multiply against thee. So there's some things that have to happen where you're going, as well as some things that have to happen to you while you're on your way. He said he's got this plan that's called by little and little. I will drive them out from before thee until you be increased and inherit the land. And
Yes.
he's not just talking about in your physical numbers.
No, he's not.
talking about increased in your spiritual
That's
wisdom,
it.
increased
Y'all right, Rod.
in
So like that.
becoming what he, the shepherd, wants you to become.
Yes,
Let's go
hallelujah.
to Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter.
Hallelujah.
Yahweh has a little by little plan.
Yes.
And the shepherd leads us little by little down
Hallelujah.
the paths of righteousness.
Yes, building us up.
Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter. So
Building
there are
us
things
up.
that are happening to us
Yes.
as we go down that path.
Yes, hallelujah.
And people want to just run down the path so
I
fast
know, right?
and then go sit on the park bench and think that they have everything and have become everything
Right.
that Yahweh knows.
Right.
Yahweh's got a little by little plan.
Yep. Hallelujah.
Deuteronomy 7 and 1 verse 22.
Praise the mighty Yah.
Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 22. And Yahweh thy Elohim will put out those nations before thee by little and little. Thou mayest not consume them at once, lest the beasts of the field increase upon thee.
Yes.
So it says, Yahweh your mighty
Yes.
one, or your Elohim will put out those those nations before you little by little. Thou mayest not consume them all at once. And one big reason is we as humans have a tendency to try to say, well then I did that.
Right.
You may not consume them all at once, lest the beasts of the field increase upon you. So there's
Right.
some things that they are dealing with, where you're going, and Yahweh's got to get all that straight too,
Yep.
before you get to that.
Yep.
Go to John the 16th chapter. So Yahweh's little by little plan will not make sense to us until the shepherd explains the plan. We were just talking about that before the lesson started, about that scripture where the children of this world are wiser than the children of light in certain areas. John 16. And people may think because they're studying the Bible and reading the Bible, then, okay, well I can just go do this real fast. I can just go somewhere and put my feet up. No. John 16, and let's start at verse 16. Let's read 16 to 17, please.
Hallelujah.
John chapter 16 and verse 16. A little while, and ye shall not see me. And again, a little while, and ye shall see me, because I go to the Father. Verse 17. Then some of his disciples among themselves. Then said some of his disciples among themselves, what is this that he saith unto us? A little while, and ye shall not see me. And again, a little while, and ye shall see me. And because I go to the Father.
So here, these brothers, they're right there with Yahshua. They didn't understand what he's talking about. It says, a little while, and you shall not see me. And again a little while, and you shall see me, because I go to the Father, Abba. Then the disciples started talking among themselves. What is he talking about unto us? About a little while, and you shall not see me. And again a little while, you shall see me, because I go to the Father. It's just like this little by little plan. He always said, I'm going to take you little by little where I'm going to take you. And unless we ask the shepherd what he's talking about, you won't know. We can discuss it among ourselves till the cows come home, till we're blue in the face. We still won't understand it. All right, verses 18 and 19.
Verse 18. They said, therefore, what is this that he saith, a little while? We cannot tell what he saith. Verse 19. Now Yahshua knew that they were desirous to ask him, and said unto them, do ye inquire among yourself of that I said a little while, and ye shall not see me, and again a little while, and ye shall see me?
Now Yahshua, he read their thoughts. He knew they wanted to ask him, well, Yahshua, what do you mean? Why didn't they ask him? They're sitting discussing among themselves, theorizing. All they had to do was ask him. He said, they therefore said, what is this that he said a little while? And we cannot tell. We don't understand what he's saying. And then verse 19, Yahshua knew read their thoughts, that they were desirous to ask him, they wanted to ask him.
Right.
So he said unto them, what are you asking yourselves for among yourselves? Because I said, a little while and you shall not see me, and again a little while you shall see me. So the shepherd is saying, discussing among ourselves what little by little means won't make us understand it.
Right, right.
Only asking him, like he said in Yahshua or James, if any man lack wisdom, come and ask me.
Right.
Because he's got the answer. All right, let's read verse 20.
Verse 20. Verily, verily, I say unto you, that ye shall weep and lament, but the world shall rejoice. And ye shall be sorrowful, but your sorrow shall turn into joy.
Yes.
So what Yahshua is talking about with this little by little referring to him, he's
Right.
saying, Amen and Amen.
Right, right.
So let it be so. I'm telling you, you shall weep and lament, but the world will be glad I'm gone.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
And you shall be sorrowful, but your sorrow shall be turned into
Yes.
some manner of joy, because
Yeah.
I'm going because it's expedient for you that I go.
Right, right.
So then everything can be released into your life that needs to be released.
Yes.
Go to Psalms 127.
Hallelujah.
So that little by little, Yahweh's little by little plan will seem too slow
Yep.
if we think we should run down
I know,
the path
right?
of righteousness. And it will feel uncomfortable
I
if
know, right?
we're running when we should be walking,
Yep.
waiting, or
Hallelujah.
resting on the
Y'all right,
path.
well, tell like it is, and
Psalms
there's no.
127. That's why people, yeah, you know, Yahweh, he too slow. No, you're just thinking you need to run when you should be sitting somewhere waiting on Yahweh
Hallelujah.
and resting in Yahweh
Yes.
and listening to what Yahweh is telling you to do.
Yes.
He's got a little by little plan, and he's not changing it for me.
That right.
He's not changing it for you.
I know, right?
Psalms 127, and let's read verses 1 and 2, please.
Hallelujah.
Psalms 127, verse 1. Except Yahweh build the house, they labor in vain that build it.
Yep.
Except Yahweh keep the city, the watchman waketh but
I
in
know,
vain.
right?
Verse 2. It is vain for you to rise up early, to sit up late, to eat the bread of sorrows, for so he giveth his beloved sleep.
Yes.
All right, so it says, except Yahweh,
That's right.
build whatever temple,
I know, right?
build whatever it is you're doing,
That's right.
you're laboring in vain
Yep.
when you're trying to build it yourself.
I know, right?
Except Yahweh, keep the city wherever you're at. You can stay up all night
I
long.
know,
You can
right?
have 50 locks on your door. You can have burglar bars on your windows.
Yep.
Stay up all night. You're staying up in vain. He said, it's vain. It's no point in you getting up early, staying up late, worrying about whatever is happening.
Right.
To eat the bread of sorrows, he said, because he gives his beloved sleep.
Yes.
And that's something that each one of us should pray every night.
Yes.
You have people, they have these little tents and masks and all this stuff in order to get a good night's sleep. And they got this oxygen that they take during the night.
Uh-huh.
And we are so blessed.
Yes, we
All
are.
we have to do is just
Right.
thank Yahweh for the sleep of his beloved every night.
That's right.
And just sleep just so beautiful,
Yes.
like we're on clouds. But he said, there's no point in you rising up early, sitting up late. And
I know, right?
the scripture says Yahweh doesn't sleep.
You can't change
Well,
nothing.
let somebody that needs sleep get it. That's you and me.
Yeah.
So if we're running down the path of righteousness when we should be walking, waiting, or resting, we will do things in vain for Yahweh.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of people out there
Yeah.
doing some good things, but it's useless to Yahweh.
Yep.
He's not paying any attention. They're doing it in vain. Go to Exodus, the 19th chapter. So the shepherd reveals that it's a combination of walking, running, resting, and waiting on the path.
That's right.
That's the key to advancing down the path of righteousness.
Yep.
Through this valley of the shadow of death.
Yes.
Exodus 19. And you can't go down it too fast because you're going to miss some things that are supposed to be happening before you get there.
That's right.
And supposed to be going on in you while you're getting there.
Yes. Hallelujah.
Exodus 19.
Praise him.
There's a combination
Yes, it is.
going down those paths of righteousness that we engage in. Exodus 19, one verse, verse 5.
Hallelujah.
Exodus chapter 19 and verse 5. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine.
So the combination of walking, resting, waiting, and running gives us time to become treasure.
Yes.
And I didn't look it up, but they have over in the land of Ham where they've found all those diamonds and everything, and that's why the Caucasians is taking it over and pushing the Hamites over into a little corner. But I believe when they first find it, it's like a black rock or something.
Yeah.
So it takes time for them to refine it and to make it become a diamond. The combination gives us time to become Yahweh's treasure. Go to Malachi, the 3rd chapter. It says, if you will obey my voice indeed and keep my Bereitha covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure.
Yes,
but it takes time for you to become a treasure. Above all people that are on the earth, for all the earth is mine. And one way you become a treasure, we're going to see, is Yahweh's watching to see whether or not you're coming down the path like he told you to.
That's it.
Like the shepherd's directing you to. Malachi, the 3rd chapter. And one verse. Verse 17. Malachi 3. And let's read verse 17, please.
Praise Yahweh.
Malachi chapter 3 and verse 17. And they shall be mine, saith Yahweh Sabaoth, in that day when I make up my jewels, and I will spare them, as a man spareth his own son that serveth him.
All right. So he's talking about those people, those of us that are walking down the paths of righteousness in this earth. They shall be mine, saith Yahweh Sabaoth, or Yahweh of hosts, in that Yowm day when I make up my jewels. He says we're a peculiar treasure. He just said in Exodus 19 and 5. That is, if you let him make you a peculiar treasure. And I will spare them as a man or Adam spared his own bond or son that Evanston serveth him. Go to Acts the 14th chapter. So the combination of walking, running, and resting down these paths and waiting gives us time to confirm to us our belief in Yahweh. Now Yahweh already knows. We have to find out whether or not we believe Yahweh.
Hallelujah.
But that walking and resting and waiting gives us time to confirm to ourselves that we believe Yahweh. Acts 14. And the enemy of the false prophet, or the enemy of the person that doesn't really care about Yahweh, is time. Because time will tell. What they say, time heals all wounds, something like that. But either way, the enemy of anybody that doesn't want to serve Yahweh is time. Because all you have to do is just keep waiting, keep watching, and see what they're doing. A little while down the road. There you go. Might take a couple of years, but just keep watching. Just a matter of time.
Hallelujah.
Acts 14, and let's read verse 22, please.
Praise the mighty Yah.
Acts chapter 14 and verse 22. Confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must, through much tribulation, enter into the kingdom of Elohim.
All right, and the main tribulation is setting deadlines and setting time limits on Yahweh, and wanting to run and wanting to say, okay, that should be done. Okay, let's do that. Let's hurry up and do that. No. Confirming the nephew of the souls of Yahweh's people and lifting them up to continue in the faith, in Ha'imina, believing what Yahweh said. And that we must remember we're going through the valley of the shadow of death, walking these paths, through much tribulation, much pressure, much watching everybody else do what they feel like they want to do. Much watching people ignore Yahweh, don't care what Yahweh said, enter into the Malkuth of Elohim. But that's how you confirm to yourself that you believe Yahweh. Because if you're doing it for any other reason than you believe Yahweh and you believe Yahshua, you're not going to make it down the path. Philippians, the 1st chapter. And Yahweh, help us not to focus on other people, but stay focused on you and your son. Because just as sure as you're sitting here focusing on other people,
Right.
will mess you up.
That's real. Y'all right. Tell like it is.
Because they can be so sincere and so sincerely wrong.
Right.
And then they have their own ideas about what they're supposed to be doing on the path and how they're supposed to be doing it. So they say, let your conscience be your guide. No, you better let the shepherd be your guide.
I know, right?
Philippians, the 1st chapter, and verse 6. Philippians
Hallelujah.
1 and verse 6.
Praise Him.
Philippians chapter 1 and verse 6. Being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Yahshua.
Yes.
So whatever anybody is standing up doing for Yahweh and bringing souls into the kingdom, Yahweh is using them, you can be confident, it says, of this very thing. Whatever he started in you, he's going to perform it until Yahshua's second coming.
That's right.
Or until your end, until it's time for you to lay down and wait for the resurrection.
Yes. Hallelujah.
Be confident now, he's going to finish it.
Yes. Okay.
But you have to understand how he's going to do it. He's not going to act like you're a horse and just, faster, faster, faster. That's the world. All right? But be confident.
Yeah.
He started it. He's going to finish it. He knows exactly what path you're going to take. And so do you. All you have to do is just listen to him and he'll tell you every step of the way.
Right.
Go to Hebrews, the 10th chapter. But you're going to walk some. You're going to run some. You're going to wait some. And you're going to rest some.
Yep.
Hebrews 10. Because this is not a sprint. This is a marathon.
Yes, it is. Long term.
This is not a, what do they got, the 50-yard dash or whatever. I forget what the number of the dashes are.
Right.
That's not one of those, all right?
Right.
This is you repent, get baptized, and then however long you live after that, the rest of your life.
Yes.
All right? They call it a marathon. Hebrews 10, and then I think they got some other kind of race where you not only run, but you do some other stuff. They make you go through hurdles or run through water. I forget what they call it. Triathlon, something. They put all these different things in there, but it's just a symbolism of what living this life, serving Yahweh is about. Right. Hebrews 10, and let's read verses 35 to 36. Please.
Hallelujah.
Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 35. Cast not away therefore your confidence, which hath great recompense of reward. Verse 36. For ye have need of patience, that after ye have done the will of Elohim, ye might receive the promise.
Yes.
All right. It says, don't throw away your confidence.
Nope.
If nobody else comes through, Yahweh always comes through.
Yes.
Don't ever doubt Yahweh.
Never.
Doubt everybody else and talk about how faithful they are.
Yeah.
All right? For you have need of patience.
Yeah.
After you've done Yahweh's will,
Right.
you will receive. You're talking about might receive, y'all. It's a sure thing.
Right.
All right? Go to 1 John, the 2nd chapter. But you don't have to wonder or not whether or not Yahweh's going to do what he says.
I know,
he always
right?
does what he says. 1 John, the 2nd chapter. So the combination of walking, running, and resting gives us time to freshen the atmosphere for the next generation.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Fresh and new for the next generation.
Yes.
Because it doesn't just end with you.
I know, right?
Right.
You're here to teach your children and your children's children. Not just teach them, but to show them how it's done.
Right.
1 John 2 and verse 14.
Hallelujah.
1 John chapter 2 and verse 14. I have written unto you, fathers, because ye have known him that is from the beginning. I have written unto you, young men, because ye are strong, and the word of Elohim abideth in you, and ye have overcome.
Yes.
So he's talking generationally here. He says, I've written unto you, Abba, because you have yet known him. That's from Habersheth, from the beginning.
Yes.
I have written unto you, young Adam, talking about the sons, because you are co-equal strong. And the word, the Dabar of Elohim, lives in you, it stays in you.
Yes.
And you have overcome the wicked one.
Yes.
But as it normally goes, those of us that are older have less time to deal with whatever the young people are going to deal with.
Right.
But when we've done this thing right and given the right example, then it's a sure thing that they're going to know how to pace themselves.
Yes.
Let the shepherd pace them so they can make it to the kingdom too.
Hallelujah.
So let's go to Daniel, the 4th chapter. So the combination of this running, walking, and resting and waiting gives us time to be watched.
Right.
You understand? We're being watched.
Oh, yeah.
And not only are we being watched, but there are being things written down in books
Yep.
about us.
Yeah.
Daniel, 4th chapter. People think they can go, what is it, in the booth in the back in the dark and not be seen.
Huh.
Hey, everything is bright as the sun
Yep.
with Yahweh.
Yes.
You
Hallelujah.
can hide from me.
Right.
You can hide from everybody else in here, but
Right.
you cannot hide from Yahweh.
That's right.
You know? But it gives us time to be watched.
Yes.
I'm not watching you.
That's right. Not our duty.
Yahweh, He wants to have enough time to watch it, even though He knows already what you're going to do.
Right.
Daniel 4, and let's read verse 13. Then we'll
Hallelujah.
Daniel chapter 4 and verse 13. I saw in the visions of my head upon my bed, and behold, a watcher and holy one came down from heaven.
All right, it came down from the Father's throne.
Right.
The heaven of heavens. It said, I saw in the visions. It's talking about Daniel,
Right.
the Yahweh's Nabi, Yahweh's prophet. I saw in the visions of my head upon my bed, and behold, a watcher. Not just the watcher, there's
Right.
more than one. A watcher. And a Kadash Akkad, a holy one, came down from Shemayim. What are they watching? They're watching those of us that are on these paths of righteousness,
Right.
going through the valley of shadow of death. And they're there to help us, man. Not just to watch us so we fall or so we mess up. All right, skip down to verse 17.
Verse 17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the Kadesh ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever He will, and set it up over it the basis of men.
Yep.
All right, so it says this matter is by the decree of the watchers.
Yeah.
So you see there's more than one.
Right.
And by the demand of the word or the dabar of the Kadash Ekkad, the Holy One.
Yes.
To the intent that the living, the Kaya Meyada, know that El Elyon ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever He will, and setteth up over it the basis of all men. All right, skip down to verse 23. So you have watchers that are watching. Then you have some other Malachim that are writing and recording. Daniel 4 and verse 23.
Hallelujah.
Verse 23. And whereas the king saw a watcher as one coming down from heaven, and saying, hew the tree down and destroy it, yet leave the stump of the roots thereof in the earth, even with a band of iron and brass, in the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the beasts of the field, till 7 times pass over him.
So we're looking at this as it applied to this Gentile king, Nebuchadnezzar, but we can apply it to our lives too. But what happened to this king was the watchers were watching him, and he said some things, and Yahweh had him warn him. He said, look, don't be standing up talking about, this great Babylon that I had built, and don't be taking Yahweh's credit.
Right.
And then sure enough, I believe it was a year later, and then he's looking around and patting himself on the back, talking about, oh, this great Babylon. And then the watcher said, hey, Yahweh told you, you said it. Now, for 7 years, he went and lost his mind. He's out in the woods, acting like a beast, looking like a beast. And it says, and whereas the king saw a watcher and a Kadash one coming down from Shemayim, they're representing the Father now. These are Malachims that are coming, watching. and reporting to Yahweh. Not that he needs him to report, because he sees and knows everything. And saying, hew the tree down, talking about Nebuchadnezzar.
Right.
He's talking about how wonderful he is. Hew the tree down and destroy it, but leave the stump of the roots thereof in the earth.
Okay.
So don't allow the devil to kill him, but just let him lose his mind and be out here looking all crazy and stuff, living among the animals. Says, even with leave the stump of the roots thereof in the earth, even with a band of iron and brass, in the grass in the field, let it be wet with the dew of heaven, so he's living outside.
Right.
And then you can read the description about how his nails got long like claws, and he was looking really, really crazy. Certain nationalities, when their hair start growing, it just started growing. Right. There you go.
Yeah.
Looking like, what's that, the werewolf?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It said, and let his portion be with the beasts of the field till 7 years. At times is a year.
Right,
7 years he was out there.
Wow.
And then when you read the factual account, you can see at the end of the 7 years, his mind came back. Yahweh let his mind come back. The first thing he did was praise his name.
Right.
Thank Yahweh.
Praise Yahweh.
All right? Because he knew Yahweh put that on him. He had warned him.
Yep.
He put it on him, and he glorified him when he came up out of that.
She did.
Right, for bragging on himself. Go to Psalms 105. So the combination of walking and running and resting on the paths of righteousness gives us time to be tried.
Yes.
Psalms 105. Yahweh does not tempt us, but he does try us.
Right.
And he actually tries us so we can see where we are. It's
Right.
like when Kiefer stood up, Yahshua told him, look, you're going to deny me 3 times before the night is over. And then Kiefer stood up. I mean, he wasn't being arrogant or anything.
Right.
He just thought,
Right.
no, I'll never do that.
Yeah.
And before the night was over, he did deny him 3 times. So this combination on the paths gives us time to be tried and to see where we are.
That's what it's
And
for.
we want to see where we are, so then we can pray to Yahweh to ask us, to ask him, okay, Father, show me the way to overcome this.
Yes.
And get over this hurdle and get around this, because this is not how you want me to be.
Right.
All right? So we want to see where we're lacking, so then we can work with him and let him change us.
Yes.
Not to hide from yourself and pretend like
I know, right?
you're not like that, or you don't have that thing that you need to work harder on.
Right.
All right? Everything takes time. It's not just you flip a switch and it's done.
It's a process.
All right? But when Yahweh shows it to you, it says Psalms 105, then you'll see, and this is what is happening now. You're in Yahweh's word, and so you're seeing some things and learning some things about the path that you're walking.
Right.
All right? And really, what you're doing is you're discovering yourself and how to see yourself the way Yahweh sees you.
Right.
That's what you want to do.
Hallelujah.
All right? Psalms 105 and verse 19. So
Praise
you're being
Yahweh.
tried. When you hear what Yahweh's word says, then you got a choice. You're going to accept it and you're going to do it, or you're not. Or you're going to delay, or you're going to try to come up with some excuse about why you shouldn't do it. Psalms 105 and verse 19.
Praise Yahweh.
Psalms 105 and verse 19. Until the time that his word came, the word of Yahweh tried him.
Now, and this is referring to Iyshah, when Yahweh showed him that dream when he was a young boy. And it was talking about how the sun and the moon was going to bow down to him, and the 12 stars. And then he had another dream, and then he's having all these dreams, and then he's going telling his brothers, well, they couldn't stand him anyway, because he was his father's favorite by the wife that he really loved. And so this is telling us that until the time that his word came, whatever Yahweh said about me or you, until it actually manifests in our life, then what we have to hold on to is what Yahweh said he's doing.
In his
he
word.
started something in you and me, and he said, I started it, I'm going to finish it. Now, it's up to me and you to believe that what Yahweh said He is doing,
Yes.
and to continue trusting Him that He is doing it.
Yes,
So
He is.
until the time when you actually see what He's doing comes,
to pass.
His word tries you.
You're right.
You're going to listen to what He said, and you're going to listen to that lion voice telling you, well, you know, that's not really happening. Well, see, no, that
Right.
doesn't really mean what
Y'all
it means.
right, tell like
All right?
it is.
So the word, until it comes, it tries you.
Right,
It
right.
tries all of us. It tried Yahshua, but he held on
Yep.
through being a slave in Mizraim. He held
Right,
on through the
right.
dungeon in Mizraim.
Right.
He held on to where, what was it, the butler and somebody got thrown in
Yeah.
prison. They had
Praise
the
the mighty
dream.
God.
He interpreted the dream. And then he told, I think it was the cupbearer, he said, okay, mention me to Pharaoh, don't forget me.
Uh-huh.
It was 2 years later. But Yahshua was still holding on to what Yahweh
Yes,
said. He wasn't
promise.
looking at people. That's why I just pray that you don't get too focused on people.
No.
Love people, but don't get too focused on what they're doing or
Keep
not
your eyes
doing.
on the
Stay
promise.
focused on Yahweh
Yeah.
and listening to what He's telling
Yes,
you to do.
hallelujah.
Because the word is trying you.
Yes.
And we can see in Yahshua's life, as with all of our lives and the
Yeah.
patriarchs' lives, that Yahweh came through and brought them to
Yes,
the
he
end.
did.
All right? Go to Job 23rd chapter.
We're the same.
So the word tries you, and whether or not you believe it.
Uh-huh.
And you can tell whether or not you believe it, because if you believe it, then you're always preparing. You're always working with Yahweh. You're always doing something that Yahweh's telling you to do.
Hallelujah.
You're always at the temple. Yahweh is always center most in your life, no matter where you are.
Praise Him.
So the word is trying you, but you're holding fast to the word.
Yes.
Job 23 and verse 10, please.
Hallelujah.
Job chapter 23 and verse 10. But He knoweth the way that I take. When He had tried me, I shall come forth as gold.
Yes, that's it.
Oh, so that's what's happening
That's
when you're
it.
going down the paths of
That's
righteousness. Job said, He got the way. He knows the way that I take.
Uh-huh.
Down the paths of righteousness. And you should know the paths that you're taking.
Right?
When He had tried me, not before, I shall come forth as gold.
Yes.
Not if I'm kicking and screaming and bucking
Right,
against
right.
Yahweh all the way.
Right.
All right? I'm going to get stuck like the path is quicksand. I'm going to be
That's
stuck
it.
right there, just like our forefathers were. 40 years going around and around and around. So this English word tried is the primitive Hebrew word bakan. That's B-A-C-H-A-N. It's found at Blue Letter Bible number 974. Justinian's Hebrew Chaldee lexicon defines tried as to search out. Yahweh is searching you and me out.
Yeah, yeah.
To try, to examine, to prove, to look out, to watch, to be proved, tried. Let's go to Proverbs 17. Yeah, you want to know, do you really want me?
Right?
Do you really want to know me? Like
Right.
David Sullivan used to say. Was it really good show? So Yahweh wants to know. And then
Yep.
He wants you to know.
Hallelujah. That's that confidence.
And you can tell how bad people want Yahweh by what they're willing to do.
Hallelujah.
It's not hard. All you have to do is look.
Yup, yup.
Proverbs 17 and verse 3.
Hallelujah.
Proverbs chapter 17 and verse 3. The fining pot is for silver,
Uh-huh.
and the furnace for gold.
That's right.
But Yahweh tries the hearts.
Okay.
All right, so Yahweh's trying your spirit, trying your mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is your mind made up to serve Yahweh? He said the refining pot is for silver, but the furnace is for gold. Guess what? We're going to find out the earth is like a furnace. We're being tried in the furnace of
Yes,
affliction.
it is. That's
We're
how you
going
get
to
into the
go to that
kingdom.
scripture very soon.
Yeah.
The fining pot is for silver. Well, Yahweh's not trying to make you silver. He's trying to make you gold.
Yeah, right.
And the furnace is for gold.
Huh.
Yahweh tries the mind. He tries the spirit. It's like, are you a straight arrow for me? No matter who There's a song, what is it? Mother, father, sister, brother may not go.
I know, right?
We'll do all we can for them to go with us, but are you going to go if they don't go?
Huh.
What's the point of everybody going to the lake of fire? I don't see it.
Right.
I love you, but I don't love you that much.
Right.
All right, go to Isaiah the 48th chapter. And so that English word trieth, which is bakan, at Blue Letter Bible number 974, Justinian's Hebrew Calendar Lexicon also defines it as to examine, to try, to prove, especially metals, to look out, to watch, to be proved by trial, when a trial is made. Isaiah 48. So Psalms 23 talks about the paths of righteousness are through the valley of the shadow of death or the earth. And the combination allows us to see the earth as a type of furnace.
It is.
For us.
It is.
Now, not for the people that's on the devil's side. It wasn't a furnace when we were kicking it with the devil.
Right.
It's a furnace for us now because we kicking it with Yahweh.
Right.
And guess what? We'll be just like the 3 Hebrew men. No smell of smoke. No scorch marks. No nothing.
Hallelujah.
All right, Isaiah 48 and 1 verse. Verse 10, please.
Praise the mighty
Isaiah 48 and 10.
Isaiah chapter 48 and verse 10. Behold, I have refined thee,
Yes.
but not with silver. I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction.
Yes.
Oh, see? So the earth is a furnace of affliction. Behold, I have refined thee. And we got to be refined.
Yes.
Talking about refined is where when you're refining a metal.
That's right.
When you're refining something, you're taking all the junk out.
All that impurity.
All right? That's what the refining is about.
Yep. All that
And I
impurity.
don't decide what's junk in me.
All right.
You don't decide what's junk in you.
Right.
Yahweh's the one that decides, and He shows you what it is. And it's a painless process
Yep.
unless you kick it against the prick.
That's it.
All right? It only starts to hurt when you're kicking against what He's showing you.
Yes.
It may get a little uncomfortable, but the flesh will be all right.
That's right.
Yes.
It says, I refine you, not with silver. Why? Because He's looking for gold. I've chosen you in the furnace of affliction.
Yes.
So we get chosen out of the earth's furnace to be in the kingdom. Go to Matthew 22. We get chosen on the earth, out of the earth's furnace of affliction to be in the kingdom. People think you're going to bypass here, or you're going to show your behind here, and think you're gonna skip over here and get to the kingdom. You can throw that out the window. My grandmother from South Carolina used to say you can throw that at a wild horsetail and say zooey. It's gone.
Right.
That's one of those slave expressions. We're close to Hebrew History Month, so
Right.
all that stuff is coming back up.
Hallelujah.
Matthew 22 and verse 14. We're chosen out of the earth's furnace to be in the kingdom. Matthew 22 and 14.
Matthew chapter 22 and verse 14. For many are called, but few are chosen.
Yes.
Whoa, what happened?
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Many are called.
Yes.
Something happened between the called and the choosing.
Right.
Why? They're being watched. They're being tried.
Yes.
And so they're not coming up to the standard.
That's it.
Not that they couldn't, because we've been given everything we need. But somehow in their mind, they've decided that well, you know what, it don't take all that. Well,
Right.
I got a little too much going on over here, so let me just put Yahweh off a little bit. Yahweh, He's nice, He loves me, so I'll just do a little bit less. I'll just, just kind of do a little compromise when it comes to Yahweh.
Okay.
Everything else I do with excellence. You fool you.
Right.
Many are, not a few, but only a few get chosen. Why? Because the word tries them. When the word said, do this, they said, well, you know what? Like was it Hannah, wasn't the Sapphira and the other, what's her husband's name? That lied, talking about, they saw everybody giving, selling their land.
Right.
Giving the temple different things.
Right. Yes.
And then they figure, oh, you know what, we want people to brag, on us. And so let's say we're going to sell this land and then we're going to give this much to the temple too.
Yeah.
And Yahweh blessed them and they sold the land and got more for it.
Right.
Because they had made the vow they were going to give it to the temple. Then the devil came in, they got greedy, and they didn't give the temple everything that Yahweh blessed them with for the land. And both of them ended up falling dead, having heart attacks. So many are called, but few are chosen because of stuff like that. They start veering off. All right, go to Revelation 17. So it's not that Yahweh's not calling a lot of people. But when they go through this earth furnace of affliction, then they start deciding, you know what, let me stop and let me smoke me a joint, let me stop.
Yeah, it is.
let me have me a boyfriend on the side, and, my needs got to be met, and so let me, give me what they call that at the 2 o'clock hour, where
Happy hour.
No, where you go get the peace at the 2 o'clock hour, where you done everything you done. So I forget what they call it, but you just go to this person's house specifically so you can fornicate.
Yeah.
All right, Revelation 17 and verse 14.
Hallelujah.
Revelations chapter 17 and verse 14. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is master of masters and King of kings, and they that are with him are called
Yes.
and chosen and faithful.
Yes.
So these are the people in the first resurrection that went through that furnace, walking down the path of righteousness in the earth, in the valley of the shadow of death, and they made it to the first resurrection.
Yep.
Said, these, talking about the other people, going to make war with the Lamb. The Lamb's going to overcome those people. And those that are with him, he is Adon, or Master of Masters, and Melech, or King of Kings. And those that are with him, we're part of those, are called and chosen and faithful.
Yeah.
So there's 3 things that it takes. Yahweh does the calling. Now what we do with the rest of those 2, you better make sure you get chosen. And it's easy to make sure you get chosen. All you have to do is listen to what the shepherds tell you.
That's it, and do it.
Simple. ABC. Ezekiel 22nd chapter. So the shepherd tells us we can be called and not chosen or faithful. And I just praise his great and holy name that it depends on me.
Right.
You can't stop me from being chosen and faithful. Ezekiel 22. I can fall into a brain freeze and listen to you tell me something dumb, and then not be chosen and faithful, but that's not going to happen. Revelation 22 and verses 17 to 18.
Hallelujah.
I'm sorry, Ezekiel 22. Ezekiel 22.
Yeah.
Verses 17 to 18.
Praise him.
Ezekiel chapter 22 and verse 17. And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, verse 18, Son of man, the house of Israel is to me become dross. All they are brass and tin and iron and lead in the midst of the furnace. They are even the dross of silver.
Okay, so they like this, what is it, cosmetic jewelry? What do they call it? This cosmetic jewelry?
Yeah.
What do they call it?
Yeah.
That's not the costume jewelry. Right. That's not the fake thing. All right. It said that the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, the buyer of Yisrael, the house of Israel, they come to me dross. They brass, they tin, they iron. They just so cheap stuff. You can walk down the street and kick a can. They just like kicking a can on the street. And lead. And lead kills people, right?
Right.
They have to come and take that like lead paint stuff.
Yes.
He's saying the house of Israel is like that to me. And in the midst of the furnace, talking about in the earth, not being refined, all right? not letting the impurities come out. They're even as the dross of silver. So the 5 English words is to me become dross. They're one Hebrew word, sieg, that's C-I-Y-G, or sug, that's C-U-W-G, found in Blue Letter Bible number 5509. Justinian's Hebrew Chaldee Lexicon defines dross as the refuse of metal,
Okay.
not yet refined, and thrown away after refining. Baser and inferior metal, which having been mixed with purer, is separated from it by melting in the furnace. So we're supposed to be letting go of that stuff.
Right.
He's saying the house of Israel, most of them. He said, I called, many are called,
Right.
few are chosen. But I keep praising Yahweh's great and holy name, and it all depends on me, and it all depends on you individually, whether or not you get chosen. Let's continue on to verse 19 to 22, please.
Verse 19, therefore thus saith Yahweh Elohim, because ye are all become dross, behold, therefore I will gather you in the midst of Jerusalem. Verse 20, as they gather silver and brass and iron and lead and tin into the midst of the furnace, to blow the fire upon it, to melt it, so will I gather you in my anger and in my fury, and I will leave you there and melt you.
Melt, Yahweh, melt. 21.
Verse 21. Yea, I will gather you and blow upon you in the fire of my wrath, and ye shall be melted in the midst thereof. Verse 22. As silver is melted in the midst of the furnace, so shall ye be melted in the midst thereof. And ye shall know that I, Yahweh, have poured out my fury upon you.
All right, so Yahweh is saying, hey, because all of you become dross, this refuse, stuff to be thrown away, inferior metal. He said, as silver is melted in the midst of the furnace, you shall be melted in the midst thereof, and then you'll know that I'm Yahweh, that I poured out my fury upon you. Go to 1 Corinthians, the 3rd chapter. So in the earth's furnace, not only are we being refined or melted, or the impurities coming out of us so we can become pure.
Right.
But what we're doing for Yahweh is being tested for quality. So you can do some stuff for Yahweh and it can be burnt up. It'll be just like you never did.
Right.
1 Corinthians, the 3rd chapter. 1 Corinthians 3, and let's read verses 12 to 15.
Hallelujah.
1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 12. Now, if any man build upon this foundation gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, stubble. Verse 13. Every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall try every man's work of what sort
I like to
it
congregate
is.
to repeat this after me. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
I am at the right place.
I am
at the right place.
At the right time.
At the right time.
I am at the right place.
I am at the right
At the
place.
right time.
At the right time.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. When you go with these songs now, you can clap your hands, stomp your feet, tap the ring up in front of you, do anything you want.